notes, information, analysis, events, trade ideas necessary to continue kicking butt in. Host Adam Holland, stock options expert market strategist, and just front runner of the 1% endeavor, right? Trying to get 1% better each and every day. That's what we're looking to accomplish, what others can't, right? That's part of what this is. And again, consistency is what leads to confidence, and confidence is what leads to obedience and assignment. And when you have obedience in your assignment, you find the success and fulfillment that you're looking to achieve. So happy to be here for this session, as well as to finish this week out strong. We had two behemoths report earnings here after hours, so we'll get into that, of course. And we'll dive into other headlines that we have this morning. But as always, make sure you throw your one in the chat, right? Comment that whether you're watching live or via replay, signifying your intention to get 1% better by the end of this session. That's what we're trying to do. That's what we are, looking to accomplish. So make sure you throw that one in there, right? Set that intention, and then we can all move forward with the same expectations, with the same goal, and in unison. And that's when the magic starts to happen. So, top news, bottled in bond. There's an interesting story playing out in the bond market. While the narrative may be hard to identify, it's easy to spot some themes with yields hitting fresh 2023 highs. Things began escalating a week ago following the Bank of Japan's policy tweak, but since then, Fitch downgraded America's debt, and Treasury increased the size of longer-term debt sales to address mounting borrowing needs. It comes as hedge funds have been shorting treasuries en masse, prompting Bill Ackman to bet against the 30-year bond. Though others like Warren Buffett has since said this is one thing that investors do not need to worry about. Snapshot, the resilience of the labor market is another area that's being eyed by bond watchers, with the possibility that the data-dependent Fed will need to continue raising its policy rate as it responds to strong readings. Wednesday's private sector ADP jobs report was another blowout, and while that doesn't necessarily convey that the government's monthly figure will show, maybe they mean will slow, I don't know, will show, investors are paying extra attention to today's non-farm payroll release at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So we got non-farm payrolls data. Let's go ahead and check that out real quick, just while it's fresh in the mind. We're going to head on over to our friend Walter Bloomberg and check out this NFP data if it's here. Okay, so U.S. non-farm payrolls actual 187,000 versus 209,000 previous, estimated 200K. So we got less than what was estimated. And then U.S. unemployment rate actual 3.5% versus estimated 3.6%. So unemployment rate was better than was expected. U.S. July unemployment rate, 3.5, consensus 3.6. So unemployment rate better than expected. The market doesn't really like that. But also, we've been having mixed reactions to employment data, right? Insert last Friday, right? So we have had some crazy moves based off of employment data. So at this point, it's kind of like just a wait and see, and make sure that you're aware of the technicals, that you mind the technicals, and that that's what you use to execute. But overall, as of kind of the past year and a half, you want worse than expected employment data. Better than expected ends up being bearish. Worse than expected ends up being bullish. Let's see here. Coinbase, also just random coin news. Coinbase chief legal officer says today Coinbase filed its brief asking the court to dismiss SEC's case against company. So that's off the back of Coinbase earnings. And also, let's see here. Coinbase chief says U.S. exit not in realm of possibility. So Coinbase saying if they're stick around in the U.S., don't even try and kind of float the idea that we're leaving the U.S. We're here to stay. What else? Anything else in terms of like random news headlines that might be important to? Redfin reports the typical U.S. homebuyer's monthly payment is up nearly 20% from a year ago as prices rise. Makes sense. Apple, Rosenblatt downgrades to neutral from buy. Apple, Oppenheimer raises price target to 220 from 195. So we've got an Oppenheimer raise pre-market, and we've got some downgrades. Yeah, that looks like really all the Amazon got a number of raises. Credit Suisse, JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs, Wolf, Bernstein, JMP, Morgan Stanley, and Bank of America all raised their price target for Amazon. So that's funny. Yeah, everybody is super, super bullish on Amazon, which we were on top of, right? We've been talking about that here for the last week and a half. How I was bullish on Amazon, and Amazon is coming through. So that'll be exciting here. Checking out those calls at open should be a nice bag, right? Knock on wood. We could see some continuation as well. We'll check, but that's just funny that literally upgrades across the board. Like all of these banks loved what they saw out of Amazon. Let's see, heading back into our newsletter here, seeking out a commentary, going back to like bonds and boring things. Quote, cognitive bias is a pernicious aspect of human thought that can make even the best among us unknowing victims, writes analyst Christopher Robb in July jobs report, likely bolsters soft landing narrative. Quote, Wall Street is a tribe in some ways like any other industry or group. It has an orthodoxy or monetary policy and inflation that has blinded many in finance and resulted in spurious conclusions. Properly navigating economic cycles is difficult in the first place, even more so when you throw in simultaneous demand and supply shocks of an intensity never experienced. Accepting that many correlations that have traditionally provided insight may no longer be functional is essential to navigating today's markets. Now, tech sales slowdown. Apple shares slipped 2.1% after hours trading on Thursday as the tech giant saw its sales decline for the third consecutive quarter. Pressures are expected to continue into Q4, with CFO Luca Maestri forecasting a double-digit decline in iPad and Mac sales due to tough comparisons with the prior year. On the positive side, iPhone sales are expected to improve sequentially, while services revenue reached an all-time high of $21.2 billion, driven by more than 1 billion subscriptions to offerings like iCloud, Apple Music, News, TV Plus, and more. Reports also suggest that Apple may be gearing up to unveil its new iPhone on September 13th. So this was also something that we expected, right? We were 2 for 2 there on that run. It's one of those things where, again, earnings is a crapshoot. You don't want to pat yourself on the back too much, but the writing was really on the wall there with Apple. Not a huge drop. It can still continue to slide. Does that slide happen today? Not necessarily, right? And that's what's important to recognize, that people, could see, oh, hey, Apple gapped down a bit from earnings. They use that kind of peak below and fail strategy. They could run that up, right? Run Apple up to retest that rising wedge that we fired to the downside, right? So that is really what is the bullish case for Apple, right? Apple already kind of sitting around the lows of where it dropped from earnings, definitely down more than 2.1%, probably more like 3% here. But Apple down around the lows, I could see that happening where we dip down to 185, we peak below and fail, and then we just rush back up. We've got the potential to fire a double bottom, right, on the 5/15 minute if we get over 187 on those time frames. So, I could see them going, and, if we do run on Apple, I could see them pushing us up to 194.50 area where that rising wedge breakout was. We already broke out to the downside just to retest it. If we do run, I feel like that's where we top out, is that 194.50 area. So that's the bullish case for Apple, is that we get a peak below and fail. We double bottom, we fire that double bottom, we come up to retest 194.50, and then I think that's where we reject, and that would be the prime spot to get puts. But as of right now for Apple, if you have puts, take them at open, right? Unless we really tank it and we lose that pre-market low with conviction and we hold beneath it. Really what you want to do is just take them at open, and then, kind of execute from there. So we'll see what Apple has to offer, but I am not opposed to, if Apple gets a retest bounce, to making money off that retest bounce. I'm not opposed to making money really off of anything when it comes to the market. So even with Apple getting this drop, I'm like, okay, I need to see more drop before I just buy that you die, because that's the tough thing, is that even when Apple misses, it's never really huge. And we're not getting that big of a move down. So we'll see whether or not the puts get IV crushed or not. We got to see. You need a move that's large enough when it comes to, especially like zero dates if you trade those and there's no time left. So we'll see it open what those look like. Fingers crossed for those bad boys. But even if it isn't a home run, what's nice is that we'll be ready for whatever Apple has today, right? That's really what's most enticing is after earnings has happened, what are the moves that, come post earnings, because those are really where we could see some fireworks. So I'm excited for that. And again, if we lose 185 on Apple and we hold beneath it, we are heading lower and Apple can really freaking sell. Like we already started out of this rising wedge and I expect Apple to continue downward, especially off the back of this earnings. And again, this earnings was, pretty easy to assume that they weren't going to do well. Historically, they have not done well in Q3 earnings. Apple's been struggling to get the iPhone produced, and they've also been struggling in terms of getting orders for the iPhone. Services was really the only bright spot as it has been for the past few quarters for them. But I saw a number of different people that were rolling into Apple calls on this earnings, which is just crazy. I mean, yeah, Apple beats a lot, but this was like the worst possible quarter for you to pick Apple calls. So it's just people get caught up in the green and they think that, stocks can only go up. And they think that because you have, a round of earnings season where all these companies are like, oh, AI and this and that's going to happen every time. And you get a rude awakening, right? So consumer news here, watch the cloud, helped by cost optimization efforts and the fastest delivery speeds it has ever recorded. Amazon rose 8.7% after hours as its Q2 revenue handily beat estimates. The commerce giant also set ambitious Q3 targets and related that every one of its businesses has multiple ongoing generative AI initiatives. And that's what I liked about Amazon this time around too, is that they hadn't really had any AI announcements the last time around. So I knew that they were coming this time. So off the back of a record Prime Day, right, the fact that they have been crushing it with that kind of last mile delivery, they've been optimizing that a lot. In order to increase delivery speeds, right? The supply chain getting a lot better. Yeah, it was looking like a home run for them headed into earnings. So CFO Brian Olzowski further confirmed on an earnings call that AWS, which saw slowing sales as customers cut back on spending, is now stabilizing and cost optimizations are moderating. So that's good with Q2 trends continuing into July. Following the report, seeking out analyst Trade Investor said Amazon's ecosystem is enough to remain bullish long term, while Bill Moore warned against buying the stock given potential headwinds expected later this year. So Amazon calls, those should be nice and green at open. A nice little bag to take us into the weekend. And of course, watching Amazon here, if we kind of climb up and we test that 142.97 overnight high and we peak above and fail, Amazon is likely going to head down, right? So if you're looking for something intraday, you could look to short the beast, right? If we peak above and fail. If we get above 142.97, we hold in those next, 2 5-minute candles, Amazon can continue to run. I mean, he got upgrades across the board. So, literally every major bank upgraded Amazon after earnings. So this is one of those where you can gap up. You can get like a Meta where you gap up and you continue to run. So we're really just watching that, that pre-market high. And I think that 140 level that we went over last night in Q&A, if we come down, peak below and fail in that 139 or 140 level, then that's a great spot for some Amazon 0-day calls as well. Meaning we peak below in 5-minute, we close beneath, then we close back above in those next 1 to 2 candles. We do that on that 140 level or that 139 level. That's a nice spot to get Amazon 0-day calls and hold those up until 140, 130, and then 143. So that's another little post earnings play there on Amazon. Energy cuts could deepen. Crude is headed for its 6th weekly gain after Saudi Arabia extended its unilateral 1 million barrels per day oil production cut by another month. Instead, it could be prolonged or even deepened. The move adds to other voluntary reductions by some OPEC members, while Russia will continue to reduce its crude supply into September. An OPEC Plus panel is also scheduled to meet today amid growing concerns about oil supplies, but no policy changes are expected. With crude prices expected to rise further, investing group leader Avi Gilbert is expecting a sizable rally over the coming years, but is not convinced that all charts have bottomed. So In terms of today's markets in Asia, Japan were flat, Hong Kong were up 0.8%, China were up 0.2%, India were up 0.7%. The footy in London down 0.3%, Paris up 0.2%, Frankfurt down 0.3%, the Dow were up 0.1%, S&P up 0.2%, NASDAQ up 0.3%, crude oil up 0.5%, gold down 0.1%, Bitcoin flat. Today's economic calendar, we got non-farm payrolls data. That's pretty much the biggest thing. What else is happening? Bank of England raises interest rates again. Brazil first to cut. Moderna ups COVID jab sales outlook despite Q2 drop. KKR talks to buy Paramount's Simon and Schuster for $1.65 billion. And then Warner Bros. Discovery's earnings miss, but cash flow impresses. Tupperware, ticker TUP, which has been one of the meme stocks that's been raging lately, surges 51% before the bell on debt restructuring deal. AstraZeneca, ticker AZN, and then Sanofi, ticker SNY, RSV drug endorsed by CDC panel. Upbeat guidance as Airbnb results and bookings top estimates. Airbnb, that was actually one that I was bullish on going into earnings. I like Airbnb. I like the recovery that they've had. They don't typically perform well, though, on earnings, which is what I've noticed. Like, they're not like a big – some companies just don't gap up big or gap down big. Yeah. Airbnb right now is looking to open maybe like a few cents beneath where it closed yesterday, even after good earnings. So it's just like write that down in your little, list of random stock, anecdotes or stock notes. Don't play Airbnb earnings because oftentimes it ends up flat. It's straight IV crush. But they're one that you can watch here, this morning after getting positive earnings. Like, I like it if they break through that, let's see here, 143 area on Airbnb. I like them to continue higher. So I'll go ahead and set an alert there. Very alert, crosses above. Airbnb pushing, check calls. So Airbnb over 143, put that level in, set an alert. On 5 minute, we got, I like that area. If we get over it, it was resistance yesterday. We also kind of, as we were kind of flailing up and down post earnings, it was an area that we found resistance again. So above that 143 area, I like Airbnb. Short term, right? And let me see here. Yeah, what was that? Was that last week? Yeah, if we can close above 144.63 by the end of the week on Airbnb, I like it long term as well. But yes, let's get back into what we got going on here because we were right at the end. Block S, who's Square, formerly known as Square, now known as Block, boosts outlook. Q2 gross payment volume disappoints. CoreWeave raises $2.3 billion in debt backed by Nvidia's AI chips. ConocoPhillips, ticker COP, slips after miss, raises production outlook. And then AB InBev, ticker Bud, rallies after recording 7% revenue growth in Q2. That's a little bit of a surprise, right? Because, AB InBev has been struggling with the whole issue with, Bud Light kind of getting like canceled. So that's a bit of a shocker there. Would not have predicted that at all. But that'll wrap us up. Put a bow on it and take us out for this, not only this session, but this week. The first week of August, the best month of the year, in my humble opinion. Excited for what the day has to offer. Friday, can be a blockbuster day. So you don't want to force anything, but you want to come in ready, willing to execute, and excited. We have Palantir earnings Monday after the bell. That's been one that I've been paying attention. I'm interested on, and will likely play, right? So them and kind of in the AI space, they've been making some headlines. Again, I'm not saying go and put the house on Palantir, but I like their odds to beat as well as to kind of it be their turn to cash in on the AI hype. So Palantir is one that I'm definitely looking at. I don't know if I'll get calls today or wait till Monday before close to get some. But yeah, just letting you guys know kind of repeatedly what is on my radar. So that way, it doesn't come as a surprise to anyone. But that's pretty much it, guys. So have a great weekend. I'm doing a little sneak sale for stock options made easy, right? So use code MyTurn. Let anybody that who needs to be out here putting their money to work for them, tell them to use it, right? AdamHollandeducates.com, our biggest sale ever, right? Courtesy of my birthday. I'm trying to give as much away as possible this year. as much free game, do as many one-on-ones, do as many meetings, do as many live streams as I can. So this is all part of that. So make sure people are aware of that opportunity because it doesn't come around often. I'm not a big sale person. I don't do sales like every holiday, anything like that. It's just something where I was like, hey, it's my birthday, feeling great. Let's get some more people involved in this community as well as using this tool to change their lives. So make sure you let anybody know about that. My turn at checkout, biggest sale ever. Other than that, guys, be safe out there. Have a great weekend, and let's have a great Friday and finish strong. Right? Throw one in the chat for that as we head out. We'll have a great day. I'll see you guys back here on Monday for our next pre-market prep session. Let's make it a great day. Boom.